and that recording will be sent out sometime tomorrow. Attached to that recording is going to be a questionnaire. We just ask that you take the time, fill out the questionnaire. Should take you no more than 2 minutes. It's a 2-question questionnaire. We're always looking for feedback from our students and alumni. A lot of the different sessions that we end up running are based off of feedback that we get in these sessions. So certainly would appreciate any feedback there, and I will also share that feedback form in the chat towards the end of the session. This is part of our Career Quest month. So this is just one of the many sessions that we're hosting with a variety of different employers and alumni. So certainly take advantage of these opportunities where you can connect directly with recruiters for a variety of different companies, organizations, and different opportunities. So certainly take advantage of those. We have another session running on later on today, so an opportunity there. So keep an eye out for those. You should be receiving emails about these different opportunities. So make sure that you are taking advantage. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over to our presenters from WRP. And then just a reminder, everybody, make sure when you're joining the session, we are muted and we have our cameras off. And then questions will come in through the chat. But from here, what I will do is I will pass it over to the WRP program.
Thank you so much, RJ. Good afternoon. My name is Latasha Oglesby, and I am the Deputy Director of the Computer Electronics Accommodations Program. I'm excited to be here today to present to you all a little information about the Workforce Recruitment Program. You will hear going forward, we refer to it as the WRP program. I am joined today by my team, and lucky enough, we have 2 alumni that will be providing some testimonial for you guys a little later in the presentation. Mr. Jeffrey Dallos, who is part of the CAP team here as an assessment program analyst, and also Mr. David Jones, who is also part of the CAP program. He is on our support contract, and he is also an alumni of WRP. We'll go ahead and get started. Today, I'm excited to share how the WRP creates opportunities for talented emerging professionals with disabilities and how it benefits hiring managers, students, recent graduates, and others within the federal government, specifically within the Department of Defense. Next slide. All right, so the WRP is a federal-wide, or the Workforce Recruitment Program, is a federal-wide recruitment and referral program that provides employment opportunities, again, for emerging professionals with disabilities for both temporary and permanent positions, nationally and internationally. There have been individuals who have participated in WRP that have had opportunities to do internship as well as to gain permanent employment overseas and in our many military installations and bases that are available out of state. The WRP is a year-round program. It is not specific to just the summer. And when you come in, where you are placed in the WRP or what grade, depending on what agency you decide to apply to and become accepted in, there's not a limit to what grade or a cap to what grade you can come in. So just for instance, there is a general schedule pay grade that we specifically within the Defense Human Resource Agency activity that I'm a part of, we use a GS pay scale. In that pay scale, we're looking at interns typically in most agencies come in between a GS4 and a GS7. In some cases, individuals with masters come in at GS9 to 11. With the WRP, one slide back, please. With the WRP, thank you, there's no limit to what grade you can come in. And so if you have life experience and you have been in the workforce and you've decided to go back to school, you are currently in school or a recent graduate of a university, and you apply to the WRP and get accepted for a position, you can apply to a variety of positions that are available between the GS4 up to the GS15 pay scale. The WRP is a program where it requires that you reapply annually. The registration period for the WRP database opens October the 10th. It's typically open for about 5 to 6 weeks. Once it closes, there is an evaluation period. And then in December of that calendar year, the WRP applicants who have been accepted into the program are the resumes and information about those applicants are made available to hiring managers and recruiters in December. Um, Regarding the requirements for WRP, number one requirement, you do have to be either a current college post-secondary student, an undergrad or graduate student, or in a doctoral program, or a recent graduate. And the Department of Labor, who sponsored this program, they define recent graduates as individuals who have been out of school between 2 and 3 years. For some agencies, for the Department of Labor, that has been recently looked at. There's been some flexibility, I should say, within that 2 or 3 year time frame, but it is considered a recent graduate if you are outside of your program, whether that be your undergrad or your postdoctoral program within those 2 or 3 years. You also have to be a U.S. citizen, a high school graduate or equivalent. So this program allows freshmen to come in and utilize it for internships. And you have to be at least 16 years of age and eligible for a Schedule A hiring authority. We'll talk a little bit more about Schedule A as we get further into the presentation, but that is one of the eligibility requirements. Next slide. The WRP offers one of the largest pools of qualified Schedule A eligible candidates, and it really supports the disabled veteran and permanent placements of those veterans, of individuals who've decided to go back to school and further their education. As I mentioned, the WRP is managed or sponsored by the Department of Labor Office of Disability Employment Policy. And we have recently changed our slide deck to capture the new nomenclature of the Department of Defense, which last week we have made it the Department of War. And so you will see in these slides, the Department of Defense is now called the Department of War. And so if you hear me kind of studying between the two, it's because I am getting used to our new name. And so this is our brand new presentation with that nomenclature. So the Department of War is the largest employer of WRP students, postgraduates, making up about 40% of the population of employers that actually utilize the WRP. We have a couple of websites here. We will have some additional pages at the end for you to capture some email information as well as some social media information on the back end of this presentation. Next slide. So a little bit about the WRP history. This is one of my favorite slides, and we added it actually a couple of presentations ago because I thought it was a good idea to kind of walk you through how the WRP started as a very small idea within the Department of Navy and how it has been grown within the Department of Defense, and where the WRP sits now and what our function is today. Um, Mr. Paul Meyer established the WRP within the Department of the Navy, hiring the first intern with disabilities who later converted to a permanent position within the department. And this was something that was used in the Navy for about 20 something years before it transitioned in 1995 to the President's Committee of Employment with Persons with Disabilities that had oversight a little bit later on. Fast forward to 2001, the program became co-sponsored by the Department of Defense and the Department of Labor. Um, And for that period of time, while it lived in the Department of Defense, the Department of Air Force actually managed this program for several years before it transitioned to the Defense Human Resource Activity, which is an agency field activity. And it would take me quite some time to break down the difference between the agencies and field activities within the Department of Defense, but it transitioned over to the DHRA and lived within Operations Center, again with the Disability Program Directorate for several years. They began to manage the centralized budget and all operational aspects of the WRP up until 2023, when the DMOC, the Diversity Management Operations, was dissolved, and the Disability Program Directorate moved under the Defense Support Services Center, which currently is the center where our office lives. And last year, in 2024, late last year, the WRP itself moved under the Computer Electronic Accommodations Program, where it currently resides, and the structure and how the program has been facilitated has changed, but we have taken a new direction with reaching out and doing most of our outreach directly to universities to provide information to students and school coordinators on what is the WRP and how it can be leveraged by students with disabilities. Next slide, please. So for participants and for students, candidates such as yourself, some of the benefits of the WRP would be or include career readiness, work experience, resume writing support, and opportunities to connect with on-campus resources or other individuals who have been a part of the WRP. Myself and Mr. Dallows, Jeffrey Dallows, who is here, who will provide some testimonial later about his time as a WRP intern, we have both served as WRP recruiters during the period of time where, and Mr. Dallows exceeds my time as a WRP recruiter. It's been a very rewarding journey to be able to sit down with students, provide some mentorship, some resume writing tips, some interview tips, and for some students who have never had an opportunity to either interface with someone from the Department of Defense, or maybe not have someone in their family who is a part of the department. Get a better understanding of the structure of the department, that it's not just military. There are a lot of individuals who serve the Department of Defense in the civilian capacity, and we get a chance to talk to them more about what different career fields look like within the department. So it's been very beneficial to the students and both myself and recruiters to be able to kind of give back and share that experience that we have from our own professional lives. For employees, it is an opportunity to leverage a very talented pool of resource of students with vast backgrounds and experiences. Globally, as I mentioned, you can hire all year round. Qualified individuals, and it also helps individual agencies support the Department of War and federal workforce goals of hiring individuals with targeted disabilities of 2%, and then hiring individuals with reportable disabilities of 12%. So their workforce has to be made up of individuals who have both targeted and reportable disabilities. I won't get into much detail about target and reportable disabilities, but what I will share is if you're interested in learning more about it, the definition is available on the the Office of Personnel Management Standard Form 256. And I can give you just a few examples of targeted disabilities. Would include medical conditions or conditions that may be blindness, deafness, let's say cerebral palsy is included, epilepsy is included. These would be examples of targeted disabilities, and a few examples of reportable disabilities would include, let's say MS, ADHD, diabetes, kidney function, kidney disease would also be included. So, very vast scale of what is considered a disability. But for more information on that, when we provide the presentation and some other resource documents, we can also provide a copy of that SF56 so that you can see what is defined as a reportable or a targeted disability as well. Next slide. So I'd like to share this information. It's one of our newer slides, and we talk about top participating schools in the WRP, and you will see that WGU is our top participating school. WGU having a student population of over 150,000 students, we get a lot of applications. The Department of Labor gets a lot of applications, but the Department of Defense, we hire a lot of WGU students. Some of the top five, and I won't go through all of these, but Western Governors University, Gallaudet, the University of Maryland Global Campus, Capella, and American University. American, WGU, Gallaudet, they typically fall within our top five every year. And we have data up until last year, 2024, to support this. And we actually just did a presentation last week with American. So happy to report that WGU, we're getting lots of applications from you guys, and hopefully there have been lots of hires within not just the department, but across the federal government. Next slide. Some of the top participating federal agencies, the Department of War, or formerly known as the Department of Defense, the Department of Interior, Department of State, uh, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Veterans Administration, or other known as the VA, are some of the top five participating agencies. This list is not exhaustive. There are lots of other agencies that actually do hire or do interns with the WRP students, but the higher percentages come from these agencies. Next slide, please. Department of War FY24 hiring statistics include, as mentioned, the Department of War, not Department of Defense, Department of War being the largest employer. And last year, Department of War components hired 83 WRP interns. The Air Force, Defense Finance and Accounting Services, the U.S. Army, Defense Logistics Agency, and the Navy make up the larger components that had the majority of the hires within the department. We also successfully placed 18 WRP participants into permanent or temporary jobs last year. And just a quick explanation about temp jobs. Temporary jobs can be a year, 6 months to a year, and temporary jobs can also be extended depending on the position up until 5 years. And so just want to make sure that you have a little bit of understanding about temp positions within the Department of War. Next slide, please. Here we want to share some of the most common WRP positions, the requirements that have been met in internships. Again, list is not exhaustive. There are definitely different areas where individuals have been brought on, but these are some of the larger fields where we see an uptick in most internships, including accounting and financing, administrative and program management. Administrative and program management could include business management, business operation, logistics. Program management is very broad within the department, so just want to give you a few examples of what that may look like. Administrative support, claims, investigative and processing, that could be in the equal opportunity kind of purview, investigative resolution, decisions, alternate decision resolution could also be included there as well. Communications, we've seen an uptick across the department of individuals using social media managers or content managers, content management specialists for website development, website facilitation and upkeep, human resources, information technology, and science and engineering are always big ones within the department as well. Next slide. And this is a little tiny, or maybe I just need new glasses, but um, some of the career fields and academic degrees, top five, probably would include policy, human resources, again, administration, and program management. Business administration would be an example of that. Individuals who have a degree in business or master's MBA, information technology and social sciences. Um, Broad, very broad here, some of the degrees and that career fields that are included within jobs that are within the department, but the department is so vast. There's really something for everyone. If you don't see anything that you're into or related to the field that you're working within on this list, please do not hesitate to ask, to reach out to us after this presentation. I think someone asked last week, does the FBI have a WRP program? I do not know if there's one directly, but I do know the FBI does internships, and I do know the FBI also can leverage the Schedule A hiring authority the same way other federal agencies can leverage the Schedule A hiring authority. And so I just want to share that because I know that was something that just came up recently. Next slide, please. So a few slides back, we talked about a Schedule A letter and what is exactly a Schedule A letter. And a Schedule A letter is a document that certifies that a person has an intellectual, severe physical, or psychiatric disability. Some of those disabilities can be defined on that form from the Office of Personnel Management, that standard form 256. But the letter itself is it's documentation that verifies from your physician, a licensed medical or rehabilitation professional, or any federal, state, or U.S. territory agency that issues or provide disability benefits that you do have a disability, and it does not have to include your specific disability or your diagnosis. It does not have to include your medical history, and it does not have to include your accommodations that you may or may not need. Um, when you do apply or put your application into the WRP database, I think one of the new things is that they are requiring you to have that Schedule A letter. So I would advise, if you do not have a Schedule A letter, to go ahead and reach out to someone who can provide that information, whether it be your doctor or a licensed medical professional, stating that yes, this individual does have the disability. If someone has some additional questions, it needs to be done on letterhead so that they can go back and verify that that information is true if needed. Oh, and I just had a pop-up come up on the side. Normally I don't talk through the chat while I'm doing the presentation, but yes, someone's verified, and thank you for the confirmation that they do now require that Schedule A letter. And I will share that previously, the WRP database was under the Department of Labor's, and it's still under their purview, but the database specifically, you had to go through the Department of Labor's website to get to that database. You had to create an account through login, and it was separate from where it is now been integrated into USA Jobs. So you can put all of your information there, knowing that it's protected, that hiring managers can go directly into the USA Jobs, pull that information, verify upfront that this individual does have Schedule A, versus kind of going through that waiting process that was not required previously. So thank you for confirming that. Next slide, please. Connecting with your college coordinator, whether that be through the Office of Disability, your disability accessibility office with your college, or through your employment development center. Um, WRP College Support has really helped to grow the WRP as a program. Um, as we mentioned, WGU is one of the largest pool of applicants that we see within the WRP database. So RJ, good point of contact. We're not talking to a school that's foreign to how the WRP works, which is awesome. Having if there were someone, or if you did know someone that participated at a school that may not have a WRP coordinator, this would not eliminate them from being able to apply within the WRP database. And so I do want to share that if there's someone that you do know and they go to a different school, and you go back and you share this information about this presentation and say, I learned about WRP today. Workforce Recruitment Program is specific to individuals with disabilities. I think it could be of great use to you. And they find out that their school is not included within that database, they can still apply. When the pool opens up, the database opens up for candidates on the 10th of October. They want students with disabilities to apply, whether their school is included in the database or not. And if they're not included, they'll be on our list of individuals to do presentations to within the next year or so, to provide some information and make sure that they do get their school coordinator included into that database. Next slide, please. And so I mentioned earlier when we talked about the history of the WRP that now the WRP as a program sits within the Computer Electronic Accommodations Office. The CAP, that's what we're known as. CAP is a Department of War centrally funded program that provides assistive technology and assistive technology services to Department of War individuals who have disabilities, who are either civilians or they are wounded, ill, or injured service members. Excuse me. The mission of CAP is to provide assistive technology and devices as reasonable accommodations to support an individual with disabilities or a injured, or ill service member throughout the Department of War, as assessing information and communications. And essentially, that just means we want to support people who can do their job. So we provide assistive technologies so that individuals come into the department, they are able to actually do their work. If they require an accommodation, we want to make sure that they have either the software or hardware to be able to do the work that they have been hired to do. Once you are hired within the department, and if you do require an accommodation, um, that can be discussed. You're not required to provide that information during the interview process. If you're comfortable with providing that information in the interview process, or if you require some type of accommodation for the interview process, that is something that you have you can share that information early, or you can wait after you're hired. If you're able to do the interview without an accommodation, but you may require something when you're required to be in the office. Or if you're hired to do a position and you have the opportunity as a reasonable accommodation to telework, if there's another piece of assistive technology that you need, that you can put in a request, or your hiring manager can put in a request on your behalf. And in this slide, we provide some tips on how to be able to request that accommodation. Or if you are hired and you are qualified for a position, but you know that there's something that you need to be able to do a function within that role, but you're not quite sure what you need. Our office also provides workplace needs assessments. And so both of those information, all of that information can be accessed through cap.mil. Once you are hired as a federal or a government Department of War employee, you will have access to what is called a common access card. It's a little card that has a certificate on it that allows you to get to certain websites. You can visit the cap.mil website as a public facing website, but as a customer, you are required to actually use that common access card to be able to create an account, to be able to build what accommodations that you will need. And so that information is provided here. And if you have any questions, again, we'll have some contact information at the end of this presentation. Next slide, please. Here are some of the medical categories, condition categories that we serve, the disability categories that we serve. We provide assistive technology for individuals with dexterity issues, deaf or hard of hearing, blind or low vision, cognitive issues, and also communication issues. Some of the potential causes we have listed here, I'm not going to go through all of them. We also have some of the potential impacts of some of these disability categories that may actually affect those individuals who are within these categories. And then we also provide some potential AT solutions or assistive technology solutions in each category. Again, this presentation will be shared, and so you'll have an opportunity to go through each of those potential solutions, the impacts and the causes. Again, if you do not see one of the potential causes or impacts here, does not mean that we don't have information or equipment that can assist in whatever disability category that you may fall in. And one thing about CAP, and I'll share, and Jeffrey can attest to this as an individual who is on the assessment team, we look to be able to provide the assistive technology that works best for that individual. And sometimes it does not necessarily mean that what we have available immediately is what you need. We do not look at disability categories as all inclusive. And so one condition, we don't look at conditions and say, well, this is the one standard thing that you can use because this individual who has the same condition was able to use this. This is a case by case, a very individual centric program where we're looking to provide the needs of that person, not based on categories, but based on what that person needs. Next slide, please. Another great resource for WRP hires and also interns is the Job Accommodation Networks, excuse me, other known as JAN. JAN has been a nationally recognized leader for job accommodations and job accommodation resources and a confidential guidance on disability employment matters. Not all hiring managers and supervisors have the experience of working with individuals who have disabilities. And sometimes we know that that can be intimidating to those hiring managers, which is why we do lots of presentations to hiring managers to assure them that they have the support and they will have support to be able to support their employees who have disabilities. But also if they have questions that just general questions. Sometimes it's a disability etiquette question, right? And they're not sure how to interface or what they can say, what they can't ask. Jan is a great resource for those individuals. Looking for guidance on how to, like I said, engage with individuals with disabilities who are seeking jobs. That whole interactive process can be a barrier. We are trying our best to remove those barriers by providing all the resources that hiring managers and supervisors need to be able to accommodate those students. Next slide. Favorite part of the presentation. So we get an opportunity here to talk about success stories within the WRP. We could go on and on about success stories. We know several alumni of the WRP. Up until recently, we were able to do a broader WRP kind of awards, and we had keynote speakers who were part of the program previously. Some of them that we still have contact with, that they utilize us as references to be able to pull candidates in or let us know, hey, we are looking to hire someone in this role. up until recently, before the hiring freeze, let me just caveat that. Up until the hiring freeze, we did a lot of interfacing with other agencies and people who were previously part of the WRP with success stories and bringing new individuals in. But as I mentioned, David and Jeffrey will provide theirs. But one success story that is a new success story is about Elijah Henderson. Elijah is a deaf individual who uses cochlear implants, and he has earned a bachelor's in communication studies from Gallaudet Universities. He learned about WRP from a friend who participated in the program recently, which is not unusual. That word of mouth is one of our greatest advertisements and marketing tools. He interned with the Department of Health and Human Services, also with the Department of Labor, where he is currently employed. And his advice to students seeking employment or seeking an opportunity to join the WRP is to make your resume stand out by working on campus, volunteering, and seeking certifications, which has helped him to grow in his professional career. He also states that making professional connections that you can use for references as job leads is something that has helped him to grow within the Department of Labor. Now, I am going to transition another success story and that is going to be shared to next slide, Mr. Jeffrey Dallows. Jeffrey is a program analyst and part of the assessment team for the Department War CAP team. And then Jeffrey's going to turn it over to David Jones, who was a senior disability expert on our contract support team. He is also part of the Department of War WRP CAP team as well. And so over to you, Jeffrey.
Well, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be here. Have this opportunity to talk with you and share my experience with WRP and that journey. When I was a senior at George Mason University, and it was during my last semester, I was looking for a job, and I went through the disability support services at the university. So I signed up there for the WRP interview. I got information for them, but I really was just doing this to get practice with my interview skills. I'd never thought that, I would be finding a job for the federal government. In my senior year, in June, I still had no job. And then I was offered two internships, one with the National Guard Bureau and the DOD. So after some consideration, I accepted the CAP internship. I was there for 3 months. And after 3 months, I was hired to work for a contracting company. And I worked with that company for 3 years. And I was providing support to those with disabilities and the wounded service members. After those 3 years, I became the USGS, the Geological Survey Bureau Disability Program Manager. And I was responsible for the Bureau's accessibility and disability program. After 8 years working there, I came back to CAP as a federal employee, and now I've been with CAP ever since. I've not left this position. So I've been working with the wounded service members, providing assisted accommodations, and helping them perform the essential functions of their job. I'm very grateful and thankful for the excellent program that WRP provides and for giving me that job to provide me the opportunities that I've had And I've enjoyed this employment for this relationship and employment for 25 years. So it's with a passion that, you know, working with any employee with disability and with the Wounded Service has been a wonderful opportunity. So I'm encouraging all of you. My advice is for employment opportunities, be flexible, be patient, be observant, and develop good network connections. Thank you. Good luck.
And David, we can't hear you.
Yes, I was going to say, David, you're on mute.
There, can you hear me now? So I just want to again say, I first of all echo what Elijah's saying and what Jeffrey's saying when it comes to networking. I think that, from college to your career and past, there's never enough mentors and advocates on your behalf that you can find. More the better, because you never know when one job is starting to fade away and you're needing to look for that next opportunity. You'll have, always opportunities at hand as you move through life in your career as long as you're working. So I want to just give you a little background on myself. Being born with cerebral palsy and having dyslexia throughout education, it got me to a place where I wanted to assist others who are struggling with transitioning from, home to employment, or from college to employment, or wherever it may be, and went to Cal State Humboldt in Northern California. And there, finding the social work program and interning in these opportunities in colleges, in the community at large, to assist young people, it really kind of lent that yearning for something more. While I was there, a recruiter came to my college. Now, it was a couple of years ago when recruiters were able to travel around the country, meeting in person. But met with an individual and, gave him my resume. I had to figure out what a Schedule A letter was and put it all together. And then that basically, gave time. That does take time. So when you submit this information, do know that it, you'll go, where are they? What do I do next? If you ever have questions, of course, reach out to Department of Labor over at ODEP at that email address to say, did something go through? So don't feel, and I always felt that that was available. So that was very nice. But towards the end of my senior year is when I got the internship. I got a phone call and it was kind of asking me at that point, do I want to come to Washington, D.C.? Is that too far from you? I know that you're all the way across the country. And, having an opportunity, I think, to come and then work at the Office of Disability Employment Policy was amazing. Of course, while I was here in the beginning, I did get a phone call from DOD and a couple other agencies. So I say that because, we are here to represent DOD, but when it comes to WRP also, many agencies can be looking at this and you never know what agency is going to call you. So just have an open mind. But I will say this, working for the first time with DOD, it's the supports I never even thought would be here from a standpoint of understanding disabilities, looking at all of us with disabilities, alumni from WRP, or, coming in with another type of disability from the military. You start realizing that, teams really mean teams, and, you bring something that is not on that team. So remember that you're not ever less than, that you are doing a job. And those accommodations you get at WRP, sometimes you don't even realize, because your institution or your state couldn't provide it because it's expensive. And they go, look, try this out. And you may have heard about it going, wait, this is too expensive. And then you try it and you realize, wow, that accommodation just makes that difference. So as I did my internship, of course, did a lot of those multiple jobs. Towards the closing of my internship, I transferred over to a contractor, did Social Security to get to work for almost 15 years. Traveling across the country, meeting, doing a lot of presentations in person. Then after that, was coming to a close, I started hearing about WRP. A contractor was hiring applied development. And, I really feel like paying it forward. So if any of you out there going, could that work for me? How does that work? I was not a, young student. A lot of students with disabilities, come in at different ages to complete their education. So don't feel the idea of being an intern ever, is about age. It's really just about opportunities and experiences. And what I've noticed is it's really come full circle being able to talk to you guys beyond everything that I do on the team. And again, thank you so much. And again, thank you so much to Jeffrey and his stellar career and getting to know him earlier in my career. Again, you will start noticing that alumni, when you hear that there's a WRP, will circle around and say, what can we do for you? And things like that, because we want you to succeed like we have gotten to in the federal sector and in the contract world. Again, thank you. Turn it back over to Latasha.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it's testimonial. The live testimonial really, I think, is impactful to have a better understanding that even though we love Elijah Henderson's story, that having people here to be able to attest on how the WRP has worked for them is, again, my favorite part of our presentation. Next slide, please. We're going to be wrapping it up. I have asked previously that Jeffrey and David share their email contact information in the chat if you are interested in reaching out to them to get more information about their own careers. If you just want to have an opportunity to talk on some networking things, WRP, and I said earlier in the presentation that Jeffrey and I both have served as recruiters. The Department of Labor will not be doing those informational interviews that they did previously. They will be doing another career development activity for applicants this year, but they will not have that that one-on-one recruiter that you had specific to a school. So please feel free to reach out. I know last presentation I offered it up, and I didn't tell Jeffrey and David that I was going to offer their information again, but I don't think that they'll mind. Please reach out to them if you have any questions or you want to just have a chance to network, talk a little bit through your resume. I think that particularly Jeffrey being a federal employee and can give you some really good tips on how to navigate this current environment. Here we have Connect with CAP. That includes, as I mentioned, CAP is a WRP being a part of CAP. We have all of the socials. So find us on social media, Computer Electronic Accommodations Program. We have our direct number, our email, our website, and what CapTech is something that we did not talk a lot about during this presentation, but CapTech is our learning center that is actually located in the Pentagon. It is also a place where they have walk-ins and they do needs assessments on site at the Pentagon. So if you know someone or if you are hired and you again are looking to have a better understanding of what you need as a new hire within the federal government, feel free to reach out to us at CapTech, and we'd love to do a one-on-one needs assessment with you. Next slide. Here we have our Department of Labor WRP QR and our WRP CAP QR code. If you have any questions, reach out to us directly. This is our org box inbox. We have Jeffrey's email. I saw he popped it into the chat. David as well. I can pop my email in there if as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. We would love to hear from you. And we're going to leave a few minutes for some questions, but we are ending our presentation, RJ. I'm going to I was going to say, where's the question slide? I'm going to transition it back over to you. I want to say special thanks to David for being able to get his background to save so that you can see that this year is CAP's 35th anniversary. CAP's inception was in 1990, kind of at the beginning of the computer era, right? And so for those of us of a certain age, we know that computers were not always used in homes regularly. Computers were not always used in the office as regularly. So about 1990, things started to have an uptick, and it's grown so much from there. So we have our 35-year anniversary seal and also our WRP seal. Thank you so much, David, for being able to do that. RJ, I'm going to turn it back over to you and leave some time for questions.
Yeah, so if people do have questions, feel free to post those into the chat, and we'll try to get those answered. Special thank you to Jeffrey, David, and to you, Latasha, for going through this presentation, sharing insights. I know some of the comments, people are throwing in there that they really just appreciate those testimonials and going through those programs. But reminder to everybody, questions, you can post those into the chat. Also, this session is being recorded, so if you do want to go back and reference anything, we'll also share the presentation, which will come with the recording, and then the questionnaire. I'm actually going to post the questionnaire into the chat right now. If anybody wanted to go ahead and fill that out early, we certainly would appreciate that. And then I am seeing first question coming in from Allison. What makes a WRP application stand out to hiring managers reviewing the shared list?
So specifically things that stand out, work within your community, working within your on-campus activities, things that relate to the field that you would like to participate in. So you may not have experience as a student. Again, I know that there's a vast age range, but let's say that you're coming into an HR space. You may not have direct experience with HR, and I'm sure Jeffrey can provide some insight on this, but do you have experience with helping others? How does your volunteer experience translate into your work experience? And I don't want people to ever discount what you do as a volunteer. That time counts as work experience as well. And so making sure that you capture that information, learning how to translate some of those volunteer experiences, and capturing how to translate that into work experience and adding that information to your resume is important. And I'll give Jeffrey an opportunity to chime in. I could see his face light up. I know he wants to say something.
Yes, especially for WRP, that shared list is about 2,000, 2,500. I mean, it's all over the US. So it's really important that your resume and the information on that resume stands out. So, make sure that your skills can be seen clearly, your experiences are there. You're trying to convince a manager or a supervisor with that resume. So make sure it's clean. Make sure there are no spelling mistakes. Make sure the formatting is good, right? Everything, that the whole package is really good. It's worth putting in that time.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And I had a question, if that's all right.
Sure.
What are some qualities that you all might find in the more successful participants in the WRP program? Is there specific qualities that really jump out? I think that's something that our students would be interested in hearing is what are some things that really jump out with successful employees of the program?
Absolutely. And I'll let Jeffrey chime in just 1 second, but I think that my experience is adaptability, um, having the strong communication skills, and also reliability. Showing up on time. Prior to this year, being online on time, being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, showing a willingness to learn, work well within teams, be innovative, sharing and share your ideas. Do not be afraid as an intern to be able to speak up in a larger setting with senior leadership and share your ideas. We hire interns for not just to come in and do work with your head down. We're looking for people who are innovators. We're looking for thinkers. We're looking for people who are going to think outside the box. And one of the advantages that I think that individuals with disabilities have is that they have always been put in the position to have to think outside of what their situation is and to be adaptable to most situations that individuals who do not have disabilities may not have that skill set or just may not have the need to adapt as often. And so, be flexible, but don't be afraid to speak up. Where people are looking to hear from you, so you're know that your voice matters, and lean into that. Lean into being an innovator and being a thinker, and sharing those things that come to mind when you're asked. Don't hide in the back of the room. That would be my advice.
Right.
Yeah. And I got concurrence from Jeffrey.
There was a
Yeah,
question
and
that
I
that
yeah, I
oh,
agree
go
with you,
ahead.
Latasha. I agree. Everything that you said is true. Yeah, being flexible, open. Yeah, open to learning, right? You can participate in any part of the process, get involved, uh, be engaged. Yeah, everything you said.
Great. Thank you. We have another question in the chat.
Yes, so Wesley had a question. I mainly have mechanical experience, but due to my disabilities, making it very difficult for me to keep doing the physical work. I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree in business management. Due to my resume being mainly grunt work, the only real leadership qualities I have listed are from my time in the Marines. When I apply, should I remove most of the jobs and leave just my military experience, current job, and under my education have WGU listed with my expected graduation year? I really appreciate your time. And thank you, Wesley, for the question.
Thank you, Wesley, for the question. So my immediate thought as um, from my recruiter hat is that pulling what you call, and I'm air quoting, grunt work, um, requires leadership in ways that you may not consider leadership, right? And so some of that grunt work can be operational decision making. Like you are on site, you are managing a schedule, you are ordering parts, you are making a determination about inventory, you are making decisions about what needs to be fixed first. Those are leadership skills and critical decision making skills that is not just grunt work, but there's some operation decision making there. um, as a mechanic, as a wrench turner, I used to be a associate director for facilities and security, and I worked with a lot of what we call within the department wage grade workers. They may not be within a certain pay category, but those skill sets can be translated into operational decision makers, managers, you are operating as someone who is facilitating work on a day-to-day basis as a operational leader. You just may not feel that way based on a job title, but some of the things that you do offer a different skill set besides just actually turning a wrench. And so that is when you reach out to your career development center. You reach out to different network individuals such as Jeffrey or myself, and then we sit with you and we talk about, okay, so these are the things that you did, and we help to break down that barrier in language sometimes that people don't have, and particularly, and I'm glad that you were a veteran. You talked about being a veteran. Thank you for your service. When we talk about veterans and some of the work that they do in their military career, having civilian assistance transition counselors is really helpful during that transition period, because it does allow you to kind of talk through the things that you did in your in your military career that may be considered grunt work. But there's a lot of logistical things that happen through that grunt work that have to happen, right? That interface with senior leadership, your command, your NCOs. And so being able to translate that information is important when you put that into your resume. So my first advice would be to reach out to RJ and his team and let them kind of talk through and provide some analysis of that work that you've done previously. I hope that answers your question, Wesley.
And I just want to just add just one thing when it comes to, the military and veterans. Um, when we were going to a lot of conferences around Washington, D.C., I saw people in all levels of, the military looking for work. And what I started to realize is that, they would come to us and say, could your program help me? And the thing that we don't realize sometimes, especially, is that no one knows really what's behind the curtain when you're doing an interview, right? Sometimes you do, but a lot of times you don't. And most disabilities are not apparent. So I think that as you're looking at WRP from a military side and you're talking about the military and things like that, especially if, it's a DOD internship, I really think that that is going to be something that is also sought after, not stating that if you don't have a military experience, that DOD is not right, because I look at it going, how many people who've never touched DOD prior, right, or DOW, I should say, I caught myself, is that it's really something that is a calling, and I think it is something that we're here to help others, right? And help so many in the military as well. So there's so many different jobs around the world, which is really cool about DOW, that has existed for WRP internships throughout the program's history. So again, thank you for your question.
Awesome. I did want to say thank you to the CAP team for coming and presenting. Obviously, with that amount of applications coming from our WGU students and alums, there's certainly high interest, and we always love having people come in and present where we do see that high interest. So thank you to the CAP team for coming and giving this presentation. I do want to just remind everybody that this session is being recorded. It will be sent out. Presentation will also be sent out as well. And make sure that you're also looking for those other Career Quest sessions that are going on this month. Career Quest will go into early October, so great opportunities to gain greater insight, just like this presentation. But I did want to give the CAP team the floor. If you had any closing remarks or anything that you wanted to end on, we certainly would love to hear from you all. But I'll certainly give you all that opportunity now.
Thank you, RJ. Just want to say thanks again to RJ and WGU for inviting us to do this presentation. We love to be able to share this information. When I joined the WRP team in 2023, I was told that WRP was one of the best kept secrets in the Department of Defense, and so one of my duties and one of my callings since I've been here is to not let it be a secret. We want to make sure that we are getting the information out to students. We want to make sure we're getting the information out to hiring managers. And although the structure of the WRP has transitioned in the last year and a half regarding the funding and what was available previously, and now some of that being specific to different agencies having to do their own funding, we don't want to lose sight of what our goal is. And we want to make sure that we continue to be a pipeline for hiring, recruitment, retaining individuals with disabilities in the department, and in creating that that platform for people to come in and be able to do their job, and be able to fully function within the job that they've been hired to do. So not only are we happy to be able to share this information from the WRP program, we're happy to share information about CAP, and how we can assist, provide assistive technology. If you do come in and you're a hire of the department or any other federal agency, specific to DOD, CAP provides services. So if you are hired within the Department of I did it myself. With the Department of War, um, we are looking to help to make sure that you are able to come in and function fully in the role that you've been hired to do. So just thank you again. Thank you, Jeffrey, and also David and the whole CAP WRP team for helping to put this presentation together. And we hope that, maybe you'll have us back next fall. We can do this all over again. So thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you. And just a reminder, this will be sent out, and keep an eye out for that. But thank you again, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon, and we hope that you have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Take care.
Thank you.